Nice to see you here. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's great to be here.
Can you say a couple of words about Jumio? What
Sure.
do you do? Which problems do it solve?
Sure. So Jumio are a trusted identity as a service. And what that means is we're an AI and ML tech-driven platform who intelligently verify real-world identities for digital consumers. And so what does that mean in English, in human speak? Well, if you've ever onboarded yourself remotely at a bank, whether that be a traditional like HSBC or a digital challenger like Monzo, if you've ever remitted money internationally outside of financial institutions, if you've ever booked an apartment on a flat sharing website or rented a bicycle, a scooter, a car on a ride sharing app, I think you probably get the point. But in all of those different examples, the business that you're interacting with needs to know who the person is on the other side of the transaction, and not who they say they are, but who they really are. And that's where Jumio come in. We are the world's largest digital identity verification service, and we work with businesses to establish trust and safety. And the way that we do that, there's many different products, but at its core, it's verifying government-issued IDs, such as driving licenses or passports, ID cards. And then secondly, via facial biometrics, ensuring that the true owner of that ID was indeed present at the point of transaction.
Right.
And that's what Jumio does.
That's amazing. If you were to name just 3 things to make Jumio completely different from your competition, or probably better, what would they be?
It's a very interesting question, and not just in the way that we can differentiate ourselves from our competition, which I'll come back to, but also the fact that if you blink, there appears to be 5 new Jumio competitors, and what that's done for the wider market. So, starting there, when I joined Jumio back in 2014, digital identity verification was very much bleeding edge. We were talking to financial institutions, and we were educating them about why they would need digital identity verification, not why they should use Jumio instead of the 1 or 2 competitors that really existed at that point. So the fact that we are now in a world where digital identity verification is so mainstream, it's so widely accepted, is a very strong positive for us as a service provider. It's also probably why I think it was McKinsey last year said that they expect this space to reach a 20 billion market in the next year or 2. And the fact that there are so many competitors, it just keeps us on our toes and makes sure that we continue to innovate. So that's one side. In terms of how we differentiate, well, I think the 3 core pillars of that would be conversion, accuracy, and scale. So by conversion, we mean, and very quickly, by conversion, we mean how do you get the highest number of good quality customers through the door? Because in reality, 99% of the time, it's just you and I. It's Joe Public who are trying to get on with their day and just want to quickly, easily, and seamlessly get through an onboarding process. And I think it's up to 40% of customers can drop out if the onboarding experience is too clunky or hard to navigate. So the way that Jumio deal with coverage or conversion, is by allowing customers to use a fully omni-channel approach. So whether it's web or mobile web app, doesn't matter what you're doing, we'll allow you to continue through that journey. But some of the other competitors in the market can only work on the app, and some others might allow you to start on the web, but then want to migrate you to the app because it's easier for them to do their job, because of course your iPhone 11 is far better technology than a clunky old 2007 laptop. So that's coverage on the or conversion, user conversion, and then on the accuracy side, we believe that we have the highest level of accuracy in the market, and part of that is a combination of AI and our hybrid approach of human experts. But the key to that is our definitive answer. So when a customer works with Jumio, we say yes or no. Yes, it was Simon Winchester, or no, it was not Simon Winchester. There's no middle ground. Other competitors say yes, no, maybe. And for us, that maybe is a little bit of a gray area that's not very helpful.
Wow.
So we want our customers to be able to say, we can confidently move on that Jumio result, and therefore in one simple session, allow a customer to get from starting the onboarding process to being a full account owner. And then very quickly, finally, on scale, well, while we might be in the UK and we're talking about UK financial services and fintech, their consumers, their customers aren't necessarily here in the UK, and they might be international, or they certainly will have growth aspirations to be international. And therefore, the service provider like Jumio needs to be able to cover that same country or geography, territory, to a greater level of depth. So not just passports, different ID types, because not everybody wants to verify themselves with a passport. I certainly don't carry my passport around with me on a day-to-day basis. Take an example of the UAE, everyone uses the Emirates ID card. So if we can't verify that particular card, we're not going to be able to help our customers. And we believe we have the greatest coverage from an ID perspective as well. So that, in a nutshell, is probably how we differentiate.
Fair enough. What can you say about AI, and which role does it play in your business?
AI is a very important part of what Jumio do. It's a very important part of today. This conference is a key theme for why we're here, so it's a growing aspect in all of our lives. But as an example of how important it is for Jumio, we recently, last year, opened an AI lab in Montreal who entirely focus on innovating AI and improving our algorithms to make sure that we have the highest level of accuracy. How we deploy that AI is, again, quite critical, because algorithms are only as good as the data that they are using to learn from, or they can utilize to learn. Luckily for Jumio, we've recently completed our 200 millionth identity verification milestone. So we have a very large, if not the world's largest database of IDs, which allows our algorithms to grow and to be trained. So that's how critical it is for us. The way that we also use AI is not in artificial intelligence, but in augmented intelligence. And what I mean by that is carrying the load on behalf of humans. So I mentioned that we have a hybrid approach to our verification, so AI, algorithms, technology, and humans. And what we're doing with augmented intelligence is pulling away some of those remedial tasks from the humans and allowing the humans to only focus on the highest risk transactions, or the highest risked aspect of an identity verification. And as an example, we might see 50,000 UK driving licenses a day, which means that's a huge data set for the algorithms and AI to learn from, and that means that we will use a high percentage of automation for that particular transaction. But if we were thinking about a Colombian national ID card, which we only see maybe 1,000 or 2,000 times a day, then naturally the algorithms don't have as much room to play with. And so we would, via our fluid approach, utilize more of the human element to ensure that we keep to that high level of accuracy. So augmented intelligence, artificial intelligence, AI, is a very critical part of what we do.
Can you also talk me through what liveness detection is?
I can. Liveness detection is, again, a critical part to Jumio's product portfolio. At its core, what we're doing is verifying government-issued IDs and then facial biometrics to make sure that individual, the true owner, was indeed there at the point of that transaction. And liveness detection is a key part of that process. If you take a little journey back in history, in 2014, when we first introduced the identity verification piece of our product portfolio, which is the comparison of a selfie to the ID, it was very much a still image that was being cross-referenced. In 2015, late 2015, early 2016, we started to bring out liveness detection. And at the early stages, it was quite basic. It was asking a customer to blink or smile, and we would be able to work out if that person was there at that time. We then reiterated it. It evolved over time, so we started asking customers to follow a randomly generated dot around the screen. Mm-hmm. So we knew that not only was it a true person, but it wasn't a video. Right. They had to be there to follow the dot. And I would say that's kind of where the market really is as a whole. They're at that stage where they're asking humans to do certain things to determine whether they're there or not. But what Jumio have done in 2019 is take a massive leap forward on the liveness detection side of things, which again, going back to your differentiator question, really allows us to be a step apart. And the way that is we're now taking a 3D face map of the individual at the point of the facial biometric selfie aspect of our verification, which is, to put it into context, NIST level 2 certified. And there are 3 levels. If you're level 3, then you're basically James Bond in MI5 and military grade security. Level 2 is us, and we're one of the only at that level in the identity verification space. And Apple ID, that you all know and love, will be level 1. So we are considerably more secure, and it's kind of almost spoof-proof. It's that great. So that is how we have introduced liveness detection. That is what it does. That is how it's evolved. And I guess just to finish off, the most important part of that is it allowed us to move from just the initial onboarding space to the continuous re-authentication of that customer throughout the lifetime cycle of being a customer of that business. And that means that in Gartner terms, we are now in the world of identity proofing and corroboration. And again, in Gartner language, we are one of the only identity providers to provide that level of security and product.
Wow, that's truly outstanding.
That's good, thank you.
So could you name some of the biggest clients? Somebody we know, maybe somebody we shop with every day?
Sure, yeah, I think I dropped HSBC and Monzo earlier, so they are 2 of our great customers that we've been working with a number of years. Very different side of the spectrum that you would expect. Obviously, a traditional bank that...
So you're bank agnostic?
Exactly. So we have the big archaic banks, as people like to say. We have the digital challengers like Monzo, who we have a great relationship with. We played football against those guys and girls actually not too long ago. The important, the result is not important, but we won, if anyone's wondering. So I'm sure there'll be a rematch there. But the list goes on. Tide is also another challenger bank, but on the business banking side. We work very, very cross-vertical, so it's not just financial services, it's sharing economy, healthcare, retail, travel, gaming.
Dating apps?
Dating apps as well, yeah. So we sit behind quite a few of those. It's a very booming market, especially as everybody focuses more heavily on trust and security. So yeah, a wide range of customers.
Awesome, thank you. I think we ran out of time. If there was anything you wanted to add on this subject?
Absolutely, just a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much again for the invitation.